So far we've looked at the basic UI, we've looked at how to use pre-built meshes and include ones that we can import ourselves. We've also looked at how we can subdivide the model going up and down the levels and use basic layers. Now we're going to be looking at how to actually build a base mesh within Zbrush, and I'm going to show you just one way. There are several ways that you can actually build a base mesh, but I'm picking this particular way because I feel it's more unique to Zbrush. You can use a polygon modeling approach because it has got some basic polygon modeling tools in Zbrush, but I'm going to show you one that's quite unique to Zbrush, which is why I'm showing you in this particular application. So one way that you can actually work in Zbrush to actually start to make a base mesh is to use what's called Zspheres. It's something very unique to Zbrush, and I'll show you how this is done. This is only a brief overview of this, by the way. We're going to go to our tool, we're going to select Z-sphere, and what we can do is we can basically build up these spheres and turning on the symmetry with the X key, we're able to build up a Z-sphere man, woman, cat, dog, anything you desire. You can build it up with the basic volumes of using these Z-spheres. You click on these intermediate points here and you're able to move them around. At the moment you can see we're in move mode with the W key. You can go to the scale with the E key and you can scale these up and down. Either they're intermediate points or the actual main part itself scales, you can see there. I'm not going to go into too much detail with this. I'm just going to give you an overview of it. You can also rotate which will have an effect on the polygon mesh that actually gets built. So in other words, if you was to twist one of these limbs, these type of limbs, and then create a base mesh from this, it will have actually a twist in the geometry also. In the draw mode, we're able to continue to draw more and more of these V-spheres on top of each other. And we just use the move tool. Do something really quick here. You will know that even in polygon modeling, to create a very simple base mesh, it can still take quite some time. In Zbrush it really doesn't take that long at all, and of course you can build some quite sophisticated Z-sphere tools and you can use these over and over again. It's a nice way to get a really quick base mesh in there for a creature or a character. You can also click on these kind of membrane limbs and click anywhere and it creates a brand new point in which you could start to manipulate. Pressing the A key at any time, you can view what kind of mesh it's going to build. Let's just turn on the poly mesh. You can see here it's creating quite a clean piece of geometry, although it's not always the case, but for sculpting purposes it's absolutely fine. So let's say for instance we were happy with this, it's something very basic and quick, and I wanted to make a nice polygon mesh from this. All we do is we go down to the right hand side where it says adaptive skin, and we've already previewed it, which is the A key. We can choose the density of the mesh. If we click on preview, you can see we can change the density. I'm going to go up to level 3. It doesn't mean that the base mesh is going to be that high, it just means that the highest level is going to be that high. So you can see there, let's just go down to 2. That would do me quite fine. And then we click on Make Adaptive Skin. When you've done this, you've still got access to your Z-Sphere model. You can save this out. You go to the tool, you click Save As, and it will save out this Z-Sphere tool, and you can come back in at any time and start to work on it and generate a brand new mesh from this. You can create horns, wings, you name it, you can create it. And then what you do from here is you would select a brand new tool from the tool menu, which is your base mesh. And from here you can start to sculpt and manipulate it. Because I selected a density level of 2, I believe, if you go to the geometry, you see it's already pre-subdivided it by 2 levels, which means you can go down to a lower level. This is perfect for working on the volume with the move tool, so that you can quickly get in there, the symmetry turned on, and start building up volume. And hopefully you can see from this how quick you're going to be able to create a custom designed character in no time at all. The other way that you can build a base mesh, which is quite unique to Zbrush, let's just initiate this, is to use what's called Dynamesh. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my Lightbox, we go to Projects, and these are already built up ready for Dynamesh. You can, however, turn any of your models at any time into a Dynamesh model, and which we'll show you in a minute. But I'm just going to show you another way to build a mesh from scratch. So let's just go to the Dynamesh, and I'm going to go for this one here. Just double click it, and I'm going to show you the brushes in a minute. But I just want to show you this Dynamesh. Now, if I were to show you the polygon level, you can see it's quite dense. In this particular case, it doesn't matter how dense this model is. Everything is lightning fast, and you've got the ability to literally pull geometry out. And you can see here, as I'm doing this, that all of the polygons are being stretched. You obviously can't really work with something like this when it's stretched like this. But even though I'm pulling these limbs out, what we can do is we can actually remesh this at any point in which it will distribute the polygons again according to where the details needed. And this is what Dynamesh is all about. At the moment, you can see on the arm area here, really stretched. Holding the Alt key and just dragging anywhere, or should I say the Control key, dragging anywhere outside, you can see here instantly it's remeshed it. This means that we're able to select areas, and I'll show you how to do some of these other methods I'm showing you now a bit later on. It means you're able to, I'm doing this in a very quick clunky way at the moment, it means you're able to pull out limbs. No matter how bad they may appear to be looking, I tend to go from one limb to the next, like the upper thigh, and then I remesh, and then I select the lower leg, then I remesh. I wouldn't normally pull it out all the way like this, but you'll see the mesh, when I do this, control and drag on the outside, then it remeshes it. Apply a bit of smoothing. And you can do that for the fingers, the toes, the head, and before you know it, you've got a Dynamesh model which started out to be from just a sphere. You can also do some box modeling within Zbrush. It's not the way that I would prefer to use Zbrush for, so I'm not going to show you this, but I wanted to show you some unique things about Zbrush and the way that you can create meshes. There are indeed some other methods in which you can build up volume, which I'm not going to show you today, but these are two basic ways that you can quickly get in there and build a base mesh very quickly. Albeit it's quite high polygon, but at this particular stage it doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that the polygons are evenly distributed over the entire model, and this makes sculpting absolutely fantastic. In fact, it's when you're actually working on a Dynamesh that your sculpting actually feels like real clay. You can obviously work on much more dense meshes than this, and all these settings are found within the Geometry tab, where you've got the Dynamesh tab, and then from here you can choose at what resolution you want. The next time you go to remesh it, it's going to add those extra polygons on there. And now if I turn on the polyframe, you'll see that the mesh is even more dense. And it's amazing that even with millions and millions of polygons, Zbrush does not slow down. But you'll notice that we've actually got significantly more polygons to work with. At any point in time you can come out of Dynamesh just by simply clicking on the Dynamesh button, and now it becomes a high-res polygon model in which you can then move on to do some retopology. But that's not what I tend to do. I tend to go for a process of doing all the nice sculpting. I won't go too high in the detail, and then I would use a auto topology, and I'm going to show you this a little bit later. But in this particular case, I just wanted to show you different methods that you can create a mesh from scratch, and that's kind of what I've shown in this.